DLive was a platform that was supposed to dethrone Twitch, the next big revolutionary thing in streaming. A site which had promise and hope while convincing everyone it was unstoppable, until it was. It was the first platform that promised creators that they would keep nearly every dollar they earned.
With DLive, you get a lot more of a percentage of your own earnings. You take home 90.1% as opposed to 50% or 70% as on other platforms.
While convincing the world's biggest YouTuber, PewDiePie, to sign an exclusive deal with them. So where did it all go wrong? Before we get to the downfall though, we need to talk about what made DLive such a special platform to begin with in the first place. DLive was founded in 2018 and it toured itself as a much better alternative to the streaming giant Twitch. And for a time, it seemed like it was. The concept of DLive was practically the same as Twitch, except for one crucial aspect that every streamer hated: the revenue sharing system. On platforms like Twitch and YouTube, they take a percent of your earnings to keep for themselves, and it's common practice. Platforms do this to raise money and make their services better. But there was a twist with DLive. Creators and streamers got to keep 100% of their earnings with no revenue sharing system, which was a very new and innovative way to woo over streamers that were unhappy with Twitch, and this somewhat worked. A lot of streamers would flock to their site without hesitation. By March 2019, just a month after launch, DLive reported about 3 million monthly active users and 35,000 active streamers. Just a month later, they would land a huge contract with PewDiePie, who was the world's biggest YouTuber at the time with over 94 million subscribers. He announced that he would stream exclusively on DLive, citing the platform's 0% revenue cut being a major draw for him. And the PewDiePie effect was instantaneous. The platform's user base went up by 67% in just a month, rising from 3 million to 5 million monthly active users. And around this time in June 2019, he would go on to host a major gaming event on the site known as Fortnite Friday, where a lot of huge gaming creators would come together to play Fortnite for money, and it was a huge thing at the time. And PewDiePie wasn't alone. He would host this event alongside Ninja, who was the biggest Twitch streamer at the time, and both of them combined drew a peak concurrent viewership of 129,000, an all-time high for the platform to this day. And it wasn't just PewDiePie. Other creators like Jack Black and James Charles started streaming on DLive at the same time. More importantly for creators though, money was flowing. The platform's unique lemon currency made it easy for viewers to tip streamers, and with zero cuts, top creators on the platform were earning 6 figures just from fan donations alone, which is much harder to do on Twitch because of their 60-40 revenue split. For a moment, it seemed like DLive was actually the next big thing in the streaming space. But by now we should know that if something is too good to be true, it's probably a scam. And in this case, it would be better if it was a scam than what actually happened. In late 2019, DLive would announce that they were being acquired by BitTorrent, and this was a huge deal at the time because they started to completely change the platform. With their first move, they decided to remove the lemon coins, which was the currency system used and widely loved on the platform, and it was replaced with BTT currency, which was unsettling for many users. BitTorrent was trying to fix a problem that was non-existent, and notably, PewDiePie's exclusive deal ended around this time as well. In May 2020, after a year on DLive, he would return back to YouTube and start streaming with them again. And around the same time, another problem was starting to emerge. The platform's content started to change for the absolute worst. DLive started to get more relaxed with their content moderation, because of which the platform started attracting a very different user base than regular gamers and average viewers. Instead, they started to get more far-right and extremist personalities, conspiracy theorists, and even white supremacists who were banned on YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms. And they started to find a safe haven on DLive due to their loose enforcement on content rules. But here's a fun fact: surprisingly, some of the DLive staff were actually concerned. One of them even stating that DLive was turning a blind eye to hate speech and misinformation on the platform. they cared more about having good numbers than weeding these people out. And by mid-2020, many of the platform's biggest streamers started spreading COVID-19 misinformation, anti-vaccine propaganda, and far-right American political conspiracy theories. The very character of the platform was starting to change, but it would get even worse when DLive's tolerance of extremist content went from quiet secret to front page news. In August 2020, Times Magazine found that on certain days, 96% of all DLive's viewers were watching far-right or conspiracy streams, and 8 out of top 10 earners on the platform were extremists or misinformation pushers. Put simply, DLive became the platform of choice for deplatformed streamers looking to rebuild their income and audience. And income they built. It was revealed that 56 extremist channels earned a combined $465,000 in tips. Streamers like Nick Fuentes and Owen Benjamin earned over $60,000 in a matter of months. And as you could have guessed, these are not great people. By late 2020, the platform's biggest stars were no longer YouTubers or gamers. They were mostly alt-right influencers, which would prove to be fatal for the platform's reputation. But the final nail in the coffin would come on January 6, 2021, when a pro-Trump mob attacked the US Capitol, with several of the rioters live streaming the chaos from inside the building on DLive. Baked Alaska, a huge streamer on the platform, broadcasted the event live from inside to about 16,000 live viewers and earned over $2,000 in tips on that day alone. And in the aftermath to this event, headlines blared that the platform had become an extremist haven, and that a pro-Trump mob live streamed its rampage and made money doing it. The backlash was swift and intense, with there being a lot of public and political pressure. DLive scrambled to respond. The company would condemn the violence, and on January 8th, they would finally take action on this type of content, with them banning and suspending at least 10 extremist channels, which included Nick Fuentes and Baked Alaska, with them getting their account balances and donations frozen as well. And over 100 past broadcasts were also deleted as they tried to do damage control. It was practically a purge of the very users who had been driving most of the platform's viewership. The event would also draw congressional scrutiny. US lawmakers sent letters demanding to know how DLive was funding extremists and allowed calls for violence. The damage was already done and there was no going back for the platform. After January 2021, the platform entered freefall. Having banned most of its biggest streamers, the activity dried up. DLive's original audience, gamers, had mostly moved on to other platforms. With PewDiePie long gone and no real talent on the site, there was little to nothing to draw back ordinary viewers to come back on the site. Twitch and YouTube, despite their flaws, remain the to-go platform for streaming content. DLive now has a toxic brand and a dwindling community. Revenue on the site dried up accordingly as well after the event, and by the end of 2021, the well had run dry, with them demonetizing any stream with political content. Streamers who tried to bypass this found it very hard and unsustainable. Fast forward to today, the platform is still online, but it barely gets any attraction and it's on its deathbed. Top categories on the site don't even get 2,000 concurrent viewers. The platform's presence has faded to near irrelevance, and it's all because they gave a blind eye to a couple parasites which started to eat their platform alive. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you like this type of content, you'll surely like Why I Hate New York. So go check it out, and while at it, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me out a lot.